special meeting held today, November 7th, 2024. That is George.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a very short agenda. Is there any request for public participation? No? Okay. All right, and then the one on the topic.
Do a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, go ahead.
Assessor Cry.
Here.
Highway Commissioner Bouvet. Here. Clerk Giovanni is here. Supervisor Bennett.
Here.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Horvath.
Here.
Trustee Maher.
Here.
Trustee Malika.
Okay, all right. Our one and only item of discussion is discussion and possible vote on elected officials' compensation for the next 4-year term. We have a couple things in front of us. One is a listing of the fund balances as of October 31st. Board members may recall I gave that to you as of September 30th too, so you probably have those both.
And I requested this.
Yeah, right. So it brings us up to date.
Yep.
And also salary comparisons. Kim, I think you prepared this document I just mentioned. Did you want to discuss it and tell us what we're looking at?
Sure. So the point of this is by statute, we have to set salaries for the next board, whoever is sworn in next May of 2025. And those salaries will be frozen for 4 years. There can be no changes during that term. So in previous years, I did a comparison of the previous years. Our salaries, for instance, for the supervisor in 2013 was $43,156. In 2016, it was $47,158. And the previous boards reduced those 2 times, and the current salary is $30,000. The average salary for the township supervisor in Cook County is $35,215. And Kelly also has done per capita, based on the population, because Maine Township has a very large population compared to other townships.
I'm sorry, I just want to understand what you said. You said that 35,000 is
The
what average of every township in Cook County?
No, the seven townships that were more closely aligned to ours.
In terms of geography or?
Geography, population.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, that was the method that I used to come up with salary increases for the next 4 years by looking at the averages in those, mainly those 7 townships, although there are many townships in Illinois. For an example, in 2016, our highway commissioner made $98,294, and in the past 4 years, he now makes and has been making $50,000. He also had a use of a car in previous highway commissioners, but that was discontinued about 8 years ago. The township clerk in 2016 made $29,126, and in the last 8 years, he's made slightly over $21,000 and $21,000. Trustees in 2016 to 2021 made $5,970, and current pay is $5,700. And the assessor made $40,987 in 2017, and currently she was reduced drastically, makes $23,000. As you can see, these salaries have been decreased multiple times over the last 8 years, and they're really not commensurate with the salaries of other townships that do provide the same services and mostly have less population per capita or close population. So my recommendation is to increase the salaries, given the fact that we are intending not to increase the levy. We're very fiscally responsible with our budget. We're solid with the amount of money we have in reserves. And you know, this is a job, and we're all professionals working here for the public, and we're providing a good service for the public. We've increased services, and I think that, you know, we should be providing, the township should be providing a fair wage to anybody who's interested in running or seeking these positions. Because our family account, you know, our family expenses go up just like everybody else's. So those are my main points. I'm sure the other trustees would like to comment also.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
All right, so you said what the average was for supervisor salary in the 7th county. And maybe you said it, but I didn't get it for, what were they for the other?
Oh, sure.
Expenses,
So
if you
for
have
the
those.
trustee, the average salary was $7,972. The assessor is $29,373. But only where's the clerk? The clerk is $31,913. I don't have the highway commissioner average salary in this study, but if you look at the highway study that was done, the highway department in Maine Township has, it goes by miles per road, and you can probably describe it more, you know, more succinctly, but we have based on our population to the miles per road, he does have a great deal of responsibility, so.
Okay, and the next question I had is, the amounts that you have recommended for 2025, how did you come to those amounts?
Well, they were based on averages.
Oh, you mean just sort of rounding them up, or maybe, you know?
They were based on the averages that I just went through. That, Trustee Mocker actually did that work, so.
Okay, so just so I understand, supervisor 1, the average was 35,215, I think you said, and the recommended amount was 36,000.
Yep.
Highway commissioner, what the average is, but then the town clerk, did you say it was 31,900?
Yes.
Okay, and how did, when you got to the first year for 2025, how did it?
5% cost of living.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, so I was wondering how you came to those odd figures. Okay.
Well, I mean, when you had 5%.
No, I understand, I just wasn't sure how you did.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
anyway-
these are my recommendations. I'm sorry to interrupt you. And these are my recommendations, of course, to the board. To, you know, anybody else has any ideas?
Jim, did you want to say something?
Well, whoever's next, Kelly, maybe you want to go first? It's up to Kelly.
Sure. I mean, I just did kind of a similar calculation. I just looked at a handful of townships that had a similar population. So I looked at, you know, our township, Wheeling, Niles, Elk Grove, Northfield, and Lyme. And then I looked at each of the salaries for each of those, and then basically calculated how much sort of like amount per resident in that township that sort of average to. So for example, Maine Township, we have 140,600 people. Supervisor makes 31,000, that averages to 22 cents a person, for example. So I did that for each position, for each township. And then I took all of those averages, those, cost per person, and I averaged those all together to get sort of like an average assessment, I guess. And then took that and then multiplied it back by the number of people that we have in the township, just as a way to sort of calculate what would be an average estimate for each. And it's sort of, and there were two different numbers. One was if we included our current average into that same equation, which seemed kind of odd, and then the one where you did it without. So for this one, it was the supervisor at 42, the clerk at 39, and I'm just kind of rounding them. There's extra dollars. And the assessor at 35, trustee at 8,400, and then the highway commissioner was a little bit different because the one thing I noticed when looking at these, Niles, the total population is not that far off, but they have no unincorporated township, no unincorporated area of Niles. Whereas Wheeling Township, their total population is a little bit more than ours, but they only have 689 people in their unincorporated area, where we have over 22,000. And so I was asking Ed, the biggest portion of what he does, he deals with the unincorporated areas. So it's just a huge difference between a township that has, only 689 people and is paying them a certain amount versus, someone that's, Northfield, for example, they have 11,000 people in their unincorporated area, and they pay their highway commissioner $65,000. So I was trying to figure out how much then they're paying per average and how you would calculate that for your unincorporated population. And based on the averages of what some of these other people, that actually would have made his salary enormous. So I think that one would have to be sort of calculated a little bit differently than wired. Yeah. So I was just trying to look at it from a statistical analysis. I don't know if any of those numbers are realistic, but
Would you repeat, what did you come up with for trustee and assessor, please?
it was, so the exact numbers for assessor, it just, so it averaged out to 25 cents per resident for the assessor, so it was $35,492.
$492.
For trustee, it was $8,438, that's 6 cents per resident.
1,438.
38.
Okay.
Yeah, but and I don't know, I mean, that is quite a jump from where we are, and I don't know if that's, fiscally responsible to sort of do that all at once, but,
That's kind of why my numbers are slightly, lower than yours, but then we have the incremental cost of living increases. And it does seem like a big leap if you look at it just from this current salary, but you have to also look back historically to what the salaries were, which were probably more commensurate 8 years ago with the averages then. And unfortunately, the board that was before us, their agenda was to eliminate townships.
Right.
And they were working very hard to do that by reducing services and reducing salaries. So it's put us kind of in a sticky situation now, but it's just like those.
yeah, I guess my one concern just originally, which I think is why you had asked for sort of funding information, was just that because that previous board had slashed the budget as well, and we sort of had to compensate for that and do the whole look back thing, and are we to a place then where we can even, do we have some sort of padding to allow for this?
intend to increase the levy. So, James, Jones, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready now. Thank you, Kim. I took a look at the materials that Kim started off. I think she led off the program by giving us this 2024 Township Salary Survey. Thank you to Kim, and thank you to Kelly. I think I looked at her numbers as well that were adjusted. And then what I did is I did my own survey. I took approximately 7 townships that I thought were closest in population to Maine Township. And they were, I think, Wheeling, Schaumburg, Worth, Niles, Hanover, and maybe Palatine. And what I did is I compared the salary numbers. And what I believe I found is that every single elected official is underpaid comparatively to these other averages I looked at, with the clerk's office being most underpaid, in my humble opinion. But I think the assessor and the highway commissioner also could make a good argument that their duties are a little different than some other assessors and supervisors. I'm sorry, highway commissioners and assessors. So they might have special consideration. What I did was I came up with an average of what I think would be appropriate as an increase. But what I think is most telling is the fact that in September of 2012, there was a vote taken and there was a resolution passed. And some of the people who were here voted on that. Susan was there and so was Pete. They were all trustees at the time. And that vote took place on September 25th, 2012. And at that time, the salaries for 2016, it's 8 full years ago, were I'm sorry, 29,000. Trustee, 5,970. Highway commissioner, 98,000. Assessor, 39,000. And supervisor, 47,000. And currently, as I see it, the clerk gets only 21. Trustees get 5,700. Eddie gets 50,000 as the highway commissioner. Susan gets 23 only as the assessor, and Karen gets only 30 as the supervisor. So what I did was I put together the averages and what I'd be voting for as a recommended increase. And I thought I hope I distributed it to everybody. And my recommendations were the clerk should probably be paid about 25,000, then maybe 26. I come to 25, 8, 9.
I'm sorry, did you say you did distribute something to us?
Yeah, hopefully, and I think I did last time, Karen. If I didn't, I apologize.
Okay. So go ahead.
And this is for Karen. And so what I did was I looked at the averages, and I think the clerk's salary should be minimum almost 26,000, 25,899, and I think that's on the low end. The assessor, I came to 29, but I think that's probably a little low considering the duties that Susan has that other assessors don't have. And I came to from 23,000 to at least 29,373. Supervisor from 31,000 to 35,184, and trustee 5,700 to 7,972, which is a little less than $8,000. Of all the elected officials, I think the trustees were closest to the average. So our salaries are closest to the average, but in my opinion, the clerk, the assessor, and the supervisor are all underpaid comparatively to the other statistics I looked at. So that would be my position. And thank you again to Kim, I guess, for putting together the original numbers, which compared all these townships. And I tried to pick the townships that I thought were most similar to us in population.
That's it?
Thanks. I first want to thank to King, John, Kelly, and James for their hard work, study about the salary. But I want to explain why we need this to raise it. So I want to say that we are proposing a necessary adjustment board salary to bring Maine Township in with the fair compensation standard observed across Cook County. This modest raise would restore board pay to an adequate level following an unjust reduction by the previous board, which cut salaries before seeking re-election. So Maine Township unique challenge, including one of the highest population density among township in the Cook County, demand leadership that can dedicate their focus to serving our community effectively. As a trustee, we are responsible for managing the township budget, overseeing essential services, and advocate for residents' needs. Providing fair pay is more than a matter of respect. It is an investment in our community, long-term stability, and governance. We are committed to transparency and believe this adjustment will support Maine Township continued success by attracting and retaining dedicated, capable public servant. I want to take you back in 2021 when we promised to the Maine Township residents, and we did say that our commitment was to restore Maine Township. What we did in our last 3 years, I want to let the resident of Maine Township know what we did it. The first we promised restore, R-E-S-T-O-R-E. So the first we did revitalization. What we did, getting a word out to the community about our services. We added website, Facebook, all the program are on the Facebook and our website. Second, what we did, efficiency. Previous board do not have the people come and want to pay, they pay by check. But what we added, ability to accept the credit card payment. That's efficiency in the mentor, this board added. Third, we did services. We have a general assistant program, mainstreamer program. General assistant program, which one the previous board does not have it. Food pantry, we expand it. Extremely bigger than what the previous board had. We added 15 youth program. We added the van services with the PACE. Now I come to the mainstreamer. Previous board does not have any outdoor activity. This board allowed them to do summer concert, art classes, and the biggest change, which one in the mainstreamer we did it, online registration for the mainstreamer program, which helped them especially, I can say, during the COVID. And then we have the recovery connection expand, which one we would thanks to Senator Laura Murphy, which she gave a donation to the grant to the recovery connection. Then we come to our web department, which one we have a township video. Anybody come sign in on the mainstreamer, we show them the Maine Township video. We have our website. I don't think so any other Maine Township have a website which have in more than 80 languages. Especially in our unincorporated area, we have a diverse community, which one we have a Pakistani, Indian, so we have Urdu, English, Punjabi, Gujarati, Hindi, Arabic, Mexican, all the language we have it. And we also suggest the complaint box. When this board came, that was, I'm sorry I would say that, I suggested that we should have a complaint box. Anybody come into the office, he has a complaint, he has maybe appreciation, like, he can put it in there. Okay, and the clerk office, we added to the license plate sticker. We never have a previous board this, license plate sticker. Okay, I come to know, sorry, it's going to be a little longer, I never have that long explanation, I never have a long speech in this book, but today maybe bear with me like few minutes, okay? Now I want to talk about the highway department. Highway department completed training project and continue to look for way to improve. We added the flooded program and also, they completed all the street lights to LED, added parking and clean up right off the way. He also, anytime we have an event in the Maine Township, highway department always help us. And they put the school safety at the top of priority, added sidewalk and bike lane to where there was none. Obtained a lot of money from the state federal grant for taxpayer. Highway department did not raise levy once, and that we are also intend to not do it this year. Okay, the fourth one order, strengthen public safety, we added extra patrolling in the unincorporated area. The fifth is the transparency. All meetings are broadcast on YouTube, and this is the first time, not other board did it. Our agenda and our board package is on our website, and the residents know what we are on the agenda today. 6, this is about the relationship. We engage community organization and stakeholder to build a better, more inclusive community for all residents. And this one, we build our relationship with Care and Care, Empowering Women, ISIS Mosque, Chicago Mark, Thomas Church, and they are helping the Maine Township, although this was with this organization, we gave away free turkey giveaway on 2021, 23, and this year they're also helping me in the Chicago Mark Thomas Church on November 23rd. And same thing, because this is diverse community, but I did, we have a Pakistani Culture Day program, Indian Culture Day program, never happened in Maine Township before. We added the Holi celebration. We added the barbecue program with the help of ICDC Mosque. Last but not the least, experience. This slate brought experience to the table with the current senior our trustee Kim Jones, veteran Township Clerk Pete Jalamas, and Susan Crack. We also have a few newcomers who have experience organizing and connecting with their community and working in and the government. So at the end I say, because all the study done by Kelly, Susan and James, again thanks to them, and I come to the same, the numbers what my other fellow trustee have. Thank you.
I'm sorry, your numbers were what, did you say?
My number the same what my fellow trustee have. You want me to read it, the numbers?
Your fellow trustee Jim is, or we're different?
I can say Kim.
Or Kim.
Kim Jones.
Okay, Kim. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Do our other officials want to make any comments?
Top man.
I was gonna say, I'd say something, but it would probably fail in comparison. The only thing I would say is that, yeah, I mean, the last board brought the salaries down ridiculously low to the point where it was, even if you were to calculate the hours we put in for the salary that we get, you'd be better off going and working at a job, honestly. I mean, we do this job because we love it. We care about the community, but it is also nice to receive some compensation for our work and our time and to be acknowledged for what we do. So that's really all I have to say.
Well, I appreciate the trustees and the work that they did to come up with these figures, but they're actually working on the past 4 years, and so that makes it really considerably less than what we should have been paid. And in the last 8 years, the salary for the assessor has been decreased by 78%. So I think that the trustees need and the supervisor need to take that in consideration. Also, I think the assessor's office is the busiest office in the township. We have gotten over 13,000 people calling us or coming into the office for different incidents within the tax bills, appeals, exemptions. We also, the assessor also had a trifecta this last year with the appeals going on, the tax bills going on, and the exemptions all at one time. So the office was inundated with people coming in, and the assessor position is a full-time position. I think that it is a very slighted office because we don't get any income. All the other offices get income. We get income for our residents. That's what we work on. We've got over $2 million this year in certificate of errors. The prior year, we go up every year. Our stats go up every year, and our budget stays low. You're going to have an assessor come in, being able to handle the Cook County Assessor's Office with everything that they do and make it wrong, and the Assessor's Office has to make it right. We've gone back, audited, put things into the assessor that they've had to change, and we don't get results, but I keep pressuring them, and then finally we get results. So you have to have someone there that can deal with the Cook County Assessor's Office, the Cook County Board of Review, and get the people what they deserve. If you don't have a reliable person in that position, if you don't give them credit for what they do in that position, if you don't pay them a responsible amount of money in that position, you're not going to get anybody. So 4 years from now, all said and done, you're going to have to find another assessor And they're gonna have to be getting their CIAO designation, going to school, continuing that, and deal with the public, and the mad public, not happy public, that the Cook County Assessor has significantly raised their taxes. Another thing that we had happen was with the tax bills, that we had 3 within a year time. So all the banks were getting more money from all our residents. Calling the banks, that was another situation that the assessor had to handle. Another thing that's now coming up, the Cook County Assessor is changing their program. So December 31st, we're out of our AS400 program, going into a new program without any schooling or knowledge, losing probably a lot of our things that we need to process people with their senior freezes and all their exemptions. So it's really sad what you think the assessor's office is worth. It's really mind-boggling to me. And looking back and what you all did and figured out your numbers, you did it over the last 4 years. Okay, the last 4 years, you said the assessor's office was significantly underpaid. So now you're just putting it where it should have been in the last 4 years. What about the next 4 years going forward? I think if you want to get a reliable person into the assessor's office, schooling, dealing with Cook County, dealing with the Cook County Board Review, you need to make it something that is more significant. And I'm really taken back about what you're suggesting.
Well, I think a lot of us are, without knowing all this history, we are just looking at what the assessors are making.
You need to come here every day while I'm in office.
Okay, well.
You need to come and see what I do.
I don't know why you're upset with us. We're trying to.
I'm doing it on 4 years back.
Okay.
4 years. And you said it was not sufficiently solid.
Okay, so when we look at the numbers, I guess I'm trying to understand. So the numbers that we were given show in 2014, $37,509. The next year it went up 2.9% to $38,000. The next year it went up again to 39, then to 40 for 2017. Then it was cut down to 31, then it was cut down to 23.
That's 78%.
How is
Well,
that
78%.
78%? I guess what I'm asking is, are you basing it on what it should have been if it kept increasing then? Like what it would have been? Or, because 40,000 to 23 is not 78%.
Yeah. Do the number.
It's not even 50%.
It's not.
It's about half. Not even, it's more than half. Anyway.
I'm just saying that the office is on, I mean, if you're looking for an assessor to be, working and work with the people, $23,000, even $30,000 is
I'm
not.
not arguing that point. I guess I'm just trying to understand where that 78% came from, because just the numbers that I have don't equal that. So I was trying to figure out if you were, because it looked like it was an
40
increase
to
of-
23?
Yeah, 40 to 23 is not, 50% of 40 would be 20.
About 48%.
So,
My fellow assessors in the other townships, they're close to us. Niles Township, he's getting 65, they have 110,000 people.
so it says, the
Yeah.
numbers we have are 42,000 for the Niles assessor. For the Wheeling assessor, it's 35,000.
That's the last 4 years, they already voted on their numbers.
Okay.
But some of them are the same, I think, some are in the 20s, 20s.
And these were the latest numbers I could find. So Northfield
That's the
was
last 4
24.
years.
Did you bring those, Suzie? Did you bring the numbers with you?
I brought 3 numbers with me. that I found from meeting with the assessors.
Did you?
Maine Township is 65, Northfield Township is 45, and
So
I think I sent it to you.
So Northfield gave themselves a 50% increase? Or, you know, like they went from 24 to 45?
Niles is 42.
No, I'm saying Northfield, I thought you just said 45.
Northfield is, yes, 45.
Oh, so they went from 24
45,000.
to 45.
Yes. And then I have Lyden, he went to 36.
I have 11 and 31.
So these are the numbers that you said to remove in May 2025.
Would you read those, Kelly?
So this one says, this is the sheet that I think.
Those are the last 4 years though.
Right, this says, this goes through May 2025. So yeah, so it would be through now. So it doesn't include like the next one. So, yeah, so it says Niles, it was 43. Oh, I'm sorry, it was, yeah, 42, 610. Northfield was 24, 230. So I guess I would just have to see, because if they just voted, they must have just voted on this, so we don't have that. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, but I think getting mad at us, who are just trying to figure out this for the
No,
first time.
I'm just saying that the assessor's office is a lot for
I know, and I think Ed
our
does a lot
residents,
too. I
and
think,
that it's very significant. So to get an assessor in here 4 years later, you're gonna be hard pressed to be hearing on the office, because it's a very busy office.
I understand that.
And I'd like to make another stipulation too, that if you're not taking insurance, you should get a stipend every year for not taking insurance. You don't agree with that?
I don't take the insurance.
It's a
But you
benefit
should
that you
get a stipend then.
Why?
Well, I think that's part of your pay,
It's a,
is getting insurance.
yeah, but it's something that you choose to take or not to choose. It's an elective.
Well, then, I mean, you could also argue that maybe your salary then should be cut, the amount of the insurance that you take, so that your total compensation is a certain amount. I mean, I think you could look at it from all kinds of different angles.
We're not talking about anybody that we're going to increase that person's salary. We're talking about this one, but the new board is coming next 4 years.
The next board.
This is not trustee Jones or trustee Malik or trustee anybody.
Right.
This is for the next board. We're not going to say because this is assessor, because my salary you got it now. You have to know my or his. This is for the next board. We have to, and why we doing this one? Because we are thinking, this is underpaid.
Ed, you can get a chance to say
Yeah,
anything.
and I agree with you that you say the fair compensation has to ensure that the qualified and dedicated, maybe, what they call, assessor will be working in your office. In assessor office, not sorry, your office, in assessor office. So who knows next board, who will be the assessor, who will be the supervisor, who will be the highway commissioner, who will be the
Exactly.
trustee.
So you have to make
So-
the salary for the assessor conducive to
Yeah.
that person running.
But the point I was making earlier was that the previous board, whose main goal, and you know this, Suzie, was to eliminate townships. I mean, one of the board members' best friends was on the task force with Governor Rauner to eliminate or to reduce the size of government entities, in the state of Illinois. That was their goal. And that is why the salaries were decreased so much. That's why GA was decreased so much. We had to catch up, but we can't just, realistically jump. It's unfortunate. I mean, we all lived through it, and nobody can argue with you. Of course, your salary was reduced by 56%. It wasn't 78, it was 56. But you can't turn back that time. You can't just leapfrog past. You still have to deal with the realities of the budget that we have. You still have to deal with the realities of the.
You just said that we were very solvent.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that, yeah, right, we're solvent, but that doesn't mean you can just leapfrog over and increase, I mean, what number do you have in mind?
And you know what? The other townships that are close here and you have less people, and I think that maybe 40,000 would be a good,
But that's almost 100% of your salary. You can't, nobody gets 100% raise.
I agree, but I did want to give Ed a chance to say something, if he wanted to say anything.
Okay.
Because we skipped over him.
Yeah, it's, I mean, if the board is done discussing this, then, I mean, first of all, I'd like to say, you know, thanks to Susan for all that she's done for the township. Our residents are lucky to have an assessor that's as qualified as her and who's who fights for the taxpayer to keep people's taxes reasonable. I mean, I think it's very important, and I do think she's drastically underpaid. So, I mean, we have to have a qualified person there, so. Also, I wanted to say thanks to the rest of the board for putting in the time and work to come get these salaries in alignment, because I know it's tough to come up with these numbers. It takes a lot of time to do research, so I appreciate all of you taking the time to put into this. Additionally, with the salaries, one of the things that the last board did is, the thing that sets the townships apart from cities and villages is the social services component. And it goes hand in hand with this topic on salaries. Is the last board tried to eliminate the township, and they wanted to get rid of all the social services that we have that give back to the residents. And we were able to bring back the social services, not only bring it back, but expand it and bring it to a point where it hasn't been before. So that's another thing I'd like to commend the board on, is all of the work that to bring the positivity back to Maine Township. You know, when some of the members on the last board wanted to get rid of it. So there's a lot of people that need those services. And I just wanted to say that I think that's important, that we don't forget that, is the services that we bring to the residents. So thank you.
Right. And I didn't mean to discount what you do, Susie, because you do a great job, and Liz and everybody in your department. It is one of the main reasons people come into the township, not only, but obviously we have a lot of services, and you do a great job. Unfortunately, we have a certain budgetary reality here, and I wish that
from
we could. I wish we
40,000 to
could do it.
23,000 in the last 8 years. When we save people in certificate of errors over $2 million. And
I
we
do-
dealt with,
We do appreciate everything you do.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Then show me. Then show the next assessor how much you appreciate the assessor's office.
I didn't have a chance to say the word.
No, no, I'm sorry.
Unless Pete's gone, okay?
All right, all right. I do want to say that I agree with most of what's been said here. As if you did a good recital of things that we've done in the past 4 years, and there's more besides that too. So thanks for reciting, some of those things. Jim, I think, I don't think your numbers are too far. I don't know if I agree with them exactly, but they're not out of this world. And Kelly and Kim, I know you guys did a lot of research and, put together these numbers, so I appreciate that. I did want to say, though, that I think we sort of have to temper our enthusiasm about adjusting salaries. And I was reading in the Chicago Tribune this past Sunday, for a cover page, maybe you saw it, about complaints from Illinois citizens about how many government bodies there are. We hear this again and again, and oftentimes it's the townships that are mentioned as bodies that should be eliminated. So I don't know that, township government is very popular with many of the voting public and of the residents of our township. I think we do a lot of things for our township. We provide a lot of services. And I think some of our residents know that. They really do appreciate us, but many don't. And I think if you asked anyone in Cook County, maybe, what's the name of any township person that they'd come up with? Tiffany Henry, and she's sort of been the poster child for bad township elected official behavior.
Mayor too.
I wouldn't, but what I'm saying is that, I think a lot of members of the public maybe don't really appreciate what townships do or what most township officials do, and therefore would not be enthused to hear about relatively large increases. So that's why I think that all of our increases should be fairly modest. And I know if, the public were to read that one person's salary was being doubled, that they would be, just flummoxed about that. Why is that happening? Why are they spending money in that fashion? So I think we have to act in a moderate way when increasing salaries. And my thought was to increase all amounts by the cost of living during the past 4 years. What was a dollar worth in 2020, and what is it worth now? And I did those calculations, cleverly leaving them at home, but I can recreate them pretty quick. And some of us would get a little bit more than what Kim has come up with, some would get a little bit less. But I just like that approach because it is sort of rational. It meets up with a figure that's from the outside, cost of living. And we all took the jobs that we took here when we ran. We knew what the job paid at that time, what we paid at that time. We accepted that.
I didn't.
But
Sorry. I went to That's okay. You're right, I should
Due
have.
diligence.
I should have.
So-
I did not.
anyway, you take that salary and multiply it by the cost of living over a 4-year period of time.
Okay.
And it does come up with, fairly, I won't say large, but there certainly does come up with some increases for every one of us. And what I'd like to do, if you're agreeable to it, is take like a 5 to 10 minute break, and I can actually print those out from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, if you want, so you can look at them yourself. But that's just what I would suggest if you wanted to do that.
Do you have numbers though, Karen? Because I'm writing down all our numbers.
I know.
You don't have numbers.
You can whip them up if we can agree.
I can print them out real quick.
I'd like to hear your opinion. Okay.
Yeah,
When you're ready.
sure, I'll do, okay.
I guess I just want to, would that include, I guess my question is it just cost of living for the last 4 years, or would it also include like a gradual increase?
Oh, for 4 years in the future?
Yeah.
Well, that would be an option. I mean, we could choose like a projected cost of.
Well, that's sort of what Kim had done.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, right, exactly.
I guess my couple of thoughts is, when the state went to a $15 minimum wage, there was no way to implement that overnight. They, gave what was it, 4 or 5 years or something that businesses had to sort of gradually increase because it's not feasible to just suddenly jump from $8 to $15 an hour. I guess the other thing that I think about is as we're trying to advocate for staff salaries here, how's it going to sit when we have somebody who works 40 hours a week who is making less than somebody who might only be coming in 20 hours a week or so? And not that it's the same because they're very different. A supervisory position is extremely different, but I could see that, not sitting well with people, suddenly, oh, I got a 3% raise, this person's getting a, 100% raise, or this person's getting a 35% raise. How do we explain that to them? And then we're like, not, I just worry about the equity in that for everybody. So, I think it's unfortunate because I think the previous board is the one that sort of did this. And, I hate that we're sort of left fighting over it because I think that I don't want anyone here to feel like they're not valued because I think they are very much. It's just, we have to clean up this mess. And how do we do that in a way that's fair but responsible? So I guess I'm just trying to find the best way to do it that hurts the least amount.
Okay. Would anyone object to taking like a 5-minute break? Okay. You okay with that? Yeah. I just printed out our printouts from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the CPI inflation calculator, which shows if you make a certain amount in 1 year, that would be like in 20 what it would be, what's that word, or does it have the same buying power as what, the second number in 2024? Now, why did I use September, you might wonder, because that's the last month for which statistics are available, September of 2024. So I was trying to compare apples to apples, September of 2020 to September of 2024.
Okay.
Okay, so the two numbers will
So,
compare.
highway commissioner, you get actually $60,569.58.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Third sheet is clerk. Okay.
Clerk is, supervisor's 36, okay, which is close to what?
Very close to what you have.
Yeah.
And I've sort of close to Jim's too.
Clerk is 25, which we have, 20, we have almost identical. numbers.
Exactly the same, yeah.
Right, yeah, right. Trustee is a little bit lower.
Trustee is 6,904 compared to 7,900, so it's $1,000.
Few hundred,
I had 83.
Plus, yeah.
I had 79.
And the,
See, but 83.
Assessor is 27, 862.
Compared to your,
So I think we're all in the same ballpark.
I think so. Yeah, and to me, it was sort of reassuring to look at the CPI inflation calculator to make me realize that these numbers are not out of the blue. There's some hard and fast government numbers that say this is how much your dollar is worth then, and that's how much your dollar. So that's where that came from.
Okay. So, all right, so now where are we at now?
Well, does anyone else want, any of the other board members, do you want to say anything else based on what we've discussed so far?
Yeah, but
I think give it your
If you ask my
opinion.
point of view, so this is actually not increasing the salary, we are resetting back to 2030. If you look at this, the list, which one was the previous supervisor, 2013, he has a salary of 43,000. Compared to right now is a 35,369, and we recommending 36,000. So back in 10 years ago, the salary was 43, and now is a 35,360.
No, now it's at 30,000.
Oh, 30,000, so
Right.
30,000, yeah.
Right.
Right.
Which position are we talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about supervisor.
Okay.
Same thing, you look at the highway commissioner right now is a 50,000, and 10 years ago he was 89,000. Now many people increase with the year, you have a 10-year experience and what salary.
I forgot to mention one thing too.
Okay, and the town clerk, same thing, like right now he has a 21,000, and 2013 he has a 26,000. So actually we're not raising the salary,
Right, and if you compare it to 2016, which
Yeah.
was 18.
29,000.
years ago, I mean, yeah.
For those of you that were here back then, I guess I'm just curious how they came to these numbers. So it's, if you look around 2016, 2017, most of those, in the 10 years, pretty much got cut in half. But some of them were, it didn't seem to be an equal distribution of how they cut them. So I guess I'm just trying to, historically understand, do you guys remember how they came to those, did they just
How much they disliked a certain person. It was kind of how some
who
of
they
it.
liked better,
Right.
liked least better, it didn't even seem like a fair way that they did it back then.
We just resetting it,
Right. But I guess I'm also curious to know we don't know what the numbers were for all the other townships at that time and how those would have averaged. Were some positions overpaid, some positions still underpaid then? I mean, we don't know, we're just trying to.
From what I remember, the salaries were definitely more in line with what the other surrounding townships were at the time. But their position was just that of, we need to cut and there's too much fat in the budget, and they just slashed it.
Do you know if any other townships did anything similar?
No.
Okay. So then I guess I'm wondering, townships that are now making $30,000 for a position, were they 15,000 back then? You know, like those have kept going up, but then ours were cut and then.
Well, and again, you're generally only doing it every 4
Right.
years, so, you know, it's not like they're going in.
Right, every year.
Yeah, right.
I'm just trying to understand
Right.
the decision making. I just have to go back and watch the footage.
Also, what I wanted to mention too is when I did my numbers, one of my goals was to be as fair as possible to Susan, to Eddie, to Pete, and to Karen, because they're not trustees, right? And I'm looking at these numbers going all the way back to 2016, and Eddie's salary was going to be $98,000 a year. And he's making 50. So, I mean, and I didn't know enough about his duties and how he compares to other highway commissioners, but it seems to me I have to be fair. I have to be fair to Karen and to Susan as well, Susan and to Pete. And so I tried to be as fair as possible, and I probably underestimated Eddie's number quite a bit, but because I don't know how much he does compared to other highway commissioners, and the numbers were a little skewed that I was looking at. But my goal was to be as fair as possible, and as I said, I think Karen does a lot of work to it, so I feel like she was underpaid as well. And that's why I came up with my numbers. I tried to be as fair as possible. And of course, I gave the trustee a little bit of a raise too, but not as much. I don't think commensurate. So these are numbers, just proposals, and they're just my opinion, strictly my opinion. And I think that I didn't know enough about Susan's duties either compared to other assessors. And I just strictly did the numbers, Susan, when I came to my evaluation there, which is for a raise for everybody, including the assessor, of course, and of course Andy as well.
Well, I think that's why when I was
That's why I tried to be fair.
when I was calculating, I was looking at like an amount and then averaging that per resident. So, you know, like as a way to kind of quantify, you know, how many people you have to deal with. But I mean, I think in a perfect world, we'd all love to be able to say, okay, this position should go back up to this rate and this position. But I just don't know how we can responsibly make that jump, like Kim was saying. You know, from this year to suddenly next year for a highway commissioner to, you know, let's say be 50,000 and we suddenly be up to 98,000, you know, or, you know, whatever position.
I'm sure in 4 years, if we're here, we'll do the same thing again, going through all this, try to figure out what's fair and what makes sense.
Why don't you do graduation every year then?
Well, we have that in here.
I mean, that's something that could be done, certainly.
I mean, in my proposal, there is.
Yeah.
Why didn't you hand out something?
I did put it under the office.
And I mean, I think that also is fair to sort of take into account cost of living and, you know what I mean? It's sort of like what we have to do with the look back, where we have to sort of kind of get us back up to where we should be.
Well, does anyone want to make a motion?
Do we have numbers?
All right, I mean, I'm trying to cut off, if you want to keep talking about it, we can keep talking about it.
One idea was to take everybody's numbers and just average them together, similar to what we do when we give money to agency funding. That's one way. Or another way is to do a motion, just start naming numbers, which might not be the best way to do it. So,
Like an auction.
Overcomplicate this, but we have to make sure that if we're going to sort of see all compensation, so if we're going to make a motion tonight, we have to include what we're going to do for healthcare, fringe benefits, things like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, well, that's something else too. I mean, I was shocked to find, because I don't take the insurance, so I was shocked to find out that we pay 35% or, right, that to me seems like something that could easily be adjusted to, you know.
Oh, and one other little thing I should mention, that is under our ordinance and the road commissioner's treasurer, for which I get $1,000, but I don't want to change that, just leave that at $1,000.
Yeah.
what does anybody else think?
It's in here.
How we can vote?
So,
If we don't have
okay,
numbers.
any ideas? It was 10% insurance for people who elected to take it was 10%. At the time, employees paid 5% of their cost. And then we increased it, we last board reduced the salaries and then they increased the insurance to 25? They increased it 25% more, so it added up to 35%. So,
I mean, 10% I think seems much better.
They also allow participation in the dental program, the same way as employees, and then any other elected entitlement in the same way as employees as well.
okay.
I'm just reading the
Is there anything-
resolution.
I think it included life insurance too.
Yes.
So, I don't know, we want to change that, and we'd like to do life insurance and dental, vision. I guess the amount or percentage that the elected officials who elect to take insurance is the sticking point. Any suggestions?
Well, as I read that last resolution, if an employee decides to get insurance, it comes out of their paycheck, it's not an added.
Right,
It comes, you have to pay for it.
They pay just 5% though, 5% of the cost, right? Isn't that what it says? 5%?
Employees.
Employees too, and that's taken out of their paycheck.
So in the case of a part-time person like me, it's the entire paycheck. In the case of a full-time person.
But it's the percentage, so
The percentage that you pay.
the elected officials used to pay 10%, and then it was increased an additional 25% to 35%.
So
I
that's
guess
what I pay now.
what we're talking about now is what percentage, if any, change we want to make to
I wouldn't mind reducing it by 10% to say like 25%.
25%.
It'd still be 5 times as much what employees pay
Yeah.
in terms of the percentage, but reducing it a little bit, I don't have a problem with
That would be great. Does anybody else benefit from that except for me? Paying for insurance?
I
You do?
Is,
That helps.
is 25, is this, is it?
Every little bit helps.
Yeah. No, I just didn't know if it
Yeah.
could be 20
I think there was a little question too as to keeping a grandfather clause if we,
Yeah, that insurance is,
Yeah.
yeah, that plan's going away this year anyway.
Yeah.
okay.
So, is there any,
Opportunities.
Sorry, what?
Well,
Oh, yeah, I guess I was just curious if somebody who accepts the position and takes the insurance, if the stipend would even cover the amount that they would have to pay at 35% to even have the insurance, you know what I mean?
Right now, I pay out of pocket.
Right, like if you, yeah, like you end up going in the negative, so.
Yeah, I have to write a check every month, my salary doesn't cover my insurance.
you do too, don't you, Jim?
I used to have to make up a check, but now I get $50. There's $50 left, but I used to owe money to work.
Yeah.
Is that, it's because of?
Because I went from a PPO to an HMO, and the HMO is a little, saves you a little money, so I get a $50 payment. Yeah, so-
so,
I know you and I have the same problem.
Yeah, I mean, I just,
All right, let me just throw out probably what we want to do at a minimum, and then you could tell me, you know, if you want to modify it in some way. So let's say, I would say CPI is a minimum. And I would say we could do, as a minimum, 3 or 4% increase each year after that. Now, if anybody wants to say, no, I want to move that up or down, up and down in some way,
Yeah, I
then I
mean-
would also say health insurance at 25%, instead of 35%, which it is right now. But now, if you guys want to talk about changing it in some way, go ahead.
so the CPI, with the numbers that you gave us, so,
it's very close to what you had.
yeah, here it goes, so.
And I like that you have yours laid out for next years too.
Is that what it means? Is that what it means, that if we're using Karen's documents, we're looking at, that any salary would be $60,569.58?
Well, if you adopt this,
Yes.
All right, is that what that is? Okay. And same with the next succeeding pages. Karen's salary would be 36,341, right? 179.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
some of
Is
these,
that right? which is very similar.
25, it's almost exactly the same. The clerk's salary would be almost exactly the same. Trustees was slightly less, but I could
$1,000 less, right?
I mean, and assessor would start at 27. But the unique thing about assessor is, right, I mean, it is the only position on the board that has to be certified, right?
I think the assessor's number is too low.
I do
I think
too.
the trustee number is too low. Slightly, the trustee, the assessor's number is too low.
I would go with at least.
Okay.
So I would not accept the CPI on the assessor's number, 27.
Well, if you wanted to use your figure, Jim, which was 29, 373, it sort of deviates from the CPI, but.
Well, I had 35, no, 35 for supervisor, right, Karen, yes. 30 for assessor, maybe a little higher.
You had 29, 373.
Right, correct.
I have 32.
So
Oh, wait. Yeah, I have 32.
I'd be inclined to go a little higher on assessor, slightly higher.
Oh.
Yeah, 32. A CPA's 32 in assessor. That would be okay with me.
I guess I feel like Kim's numbers seem
Yeah, I think,
pretty fair and in line, but I almost, I almost would be inclined to use, I would almost be inclined to use Karen's number for the highway commissioner, just because it does, that the rest would be more than the cost of living, but at least his would be at the bare minimum cost of living, but it's more than what Kim was
Plus,
going.
it correlates with what you were saying.
Right.
that Based on like, per capita population in the appropriate area, it should be really making a lot more. So that actually, that number kind of
Well, if you,
correlates with what you were saying.
if we gave Ed, or if we give a highway commissioner position a salary based on what the average per person of the other highway commissioner salaries, based on the number of residents we have, that salary would be over $1 million. So you're saving people a lot of money, because we're not going to do that.
No.
You have to realize that as a position too, all the other townships don't have roads that he's
I know.
responsible for.
I know.
Curbs, gutters,
Right.
trees, everything.
Well, that's why I was
That's
trying to
a lot.
figure out per unincorporated area, because I didn't have the number of like what the mileage is. So I was sort of,
20 miles per hour.
yeah, so I was trying to look at least 22,000
this, Eddie?
unincorporated people as opposed
Do
to
you have this,
600 unincorporated.
Yeah,
Karen,
yeah, you can go early, yes.
What do you think of that number?
Does it seem fair?
I mean, for the position that.
It's hard to say, you know, some weeks that would probably be fair, some weeks I would say that's low, some, you know, it just depends. At 2:30 in the morning when I'm called by the county,
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I feel like you almost needed to be a full-time position. I mean, I just think, I don't know how often, any of your positions, how often you guys are there. Just, you know, I just feel like you're always there.
So I think we're getting closer to an agreement.
So for highway commissioner, are we at 660, 569?
And then whatever I don't know what percentage increase this
All right.
you have for
Okay.
Okay, so the percentage increase I guess over the next 4 years after that.
Supervisor and clerk at the CPI indicated amount?
Supervisor, 641, yeah.
Clerk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And then the clerk would be 25,439, 22. Yeah, I guess that's, a little, mine was a little bit higher. It's 25,800.
like a few $100,000.
For the clerk.
Yeah, I think my average is, when I did my average, it was like 28 for the clerk. I mean, just based on the other averages. Or I'm sorry, it was actually higher than that.
26.
I just,
I mean, it's negligible, it's almost
I just can imagine, I'm sort of looking at it in terms of, well, you know, reporters asking, why don't you choose, you know, I can simply say this is CPI. CPI.
Well, I think so, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's start with the supervisor, based on the Federal Labor Board, Bureau of Labor Statistics. The supervisor, using their calculation, 36,341.75. Right?
Right.
Okay. Then the highway commissioner would be 60,569.58.
Right.
Clerk, we at 25,439.22.
Right.
That's the number we choose to go with. Trustees would be at 69,0493. And then the assessor would be at 27, but, I mean, based on what we talked about before with the drastic decrease in the special certification, I still would recommend 32 for the assessor.
I also think trustee is a little too low, and I think highway commissioner is a little too low as well. So I'd be suggesting adjust slightly up for those three.
60.
It's a good raise, but okay.
I think we have 7972, which will be good.
Does anybody have any alternative numbers for trustee, or is that what we're sticking to, 6904?
No, we're not, I mean, we're still just,
We're just discussing it, okay.
still on the table.
Okay. A seat and I both came to 79.
I think we are too close to the,
I'm sorry, what else?
I think we are too close to that CPI calculation, you know, you gave us, is a few $100 up and down, all, like your one 36,000, supervisor is 36,000, and I think the CPI says $341 more. So we can, my suggestion is we can go by the round figure 3,600, and then the same, you know, with the highway commissioner, we say 60, 2,500, 899, and 2,500, 439. These are like $300 difference, maybe 400. So trustees are like maybe $1,000 difference, and the assessor is too low, which is 2,700, you know, or 27,000, you know.
Right.
So my recommendation is 32,000, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Yeah.
the CPI is a really good gauge to start with, but if we're tacking it on to a position that maybe was a little bit under to begin with, it's not really open that way, so I think that's why we're suggesting a slight adjustment for, and I think that, I mean, I don't know, are we thinking that we would continue, so whoever takes the position, like it would continue a small cost of living increase as well?
Every year you have 5%.
I mean, that's one suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that seems logical, is, you know, if we're doing that for other positions, whoever takes the position, you know, sort of accounting for that increase, especially nowadays. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, so where are
Do
we?
we want to
So-
talk about logistics of how we're going to vote on this? Do we want to take them one by one? Are we going to do this all in one vote? Because if we're doing it all in one vote, it's going to be a bearer of emotions. We just got to make sure we know.
Oh, so one position at a time?
If we don't have to, it's just if we're going to do it in one motion, it's going to be a very long motion. Because if we're not going to do this with resolution, it's going to have to be very clear in the minutes.
Right, we could do one position
I
at a time.
actually thought we would ultimately, right, prepare a resolution.
Plan first.
As long as we pass it before the 20th.
I mean, every other year we actually have a resolution,
Yeah.
not just the minutes.
Yeah.
I guess I anticipated that we would vote on it tonight, and then we would type it up, because I don't know what it's going to be right now. But we would type it up, and then everyone would come in and sign it, so that we have a written resolution like we have in every other year, and people can refer to it. I mean, is there any problem with that?
As long as it's all done before the 20th, and what we vote on tonight is going to be encompassing everything in the resolution, that's okay.
Okay, so then I have a
I
question.
think, oh, go ahead. Everybody's going to say, go ahead.
Okay, so if we base the supervisor position, say, just for instance, at the 36,341.75, which is the CPI inflation calculator, and then we decide to agree to add a CPI for the next 3 years, 28, are we going to stay with the 5% or go to 3 or 4%? Any recommendation?
You know, that's just like trying to use a crystal ball, because we just don't know. what it's
Right.
We
gonna
can't
be.
go with the CPI itself, because that's variable, so we have to have a set number.
Yeah.
Right, so I guess that's my question. What set number are we gonna land at, if any?
Inflation is trending down, I think you would have to look at a lower CPI, average, not higher.
I would suggest minimum around 4%.
Yeah.
I could go with 4%. 4%.
The middle number.
Rough number.
So
Four as opposed to 5 or 3.
So then a 4% increase.
I'd probably promote 5, but I'd accept 4 though.
That's why we're talking.
Yeah, just a number. 5 is better than 4.
So then,
Yeah.
so then in 2026, the supervisor's position will be 37,79542.
Do we have to have, for this resolution, each of those years calculated, or could we just state like a 4% increase on top of the set of?
I think we could just state it, correct me if I'm wrong, but
That's
state
correct.
it for
Okay.
the verbal motion, but in the resolution.
Right, you'll do all the
I think-
math.
right. So, and just also in terms of like 4%, that I presume is going to be compounded. So if you're calculating 4% on the amount that already has 4% in it. So
Yeah,
it's
that's-
compounded, okay.
Yeah, that's how I did the original
All
numbers.
right.
Okay, so
Okay.
do we want to do the supervisor then first?
1%? Okay.
So,
Okay, so
Just you want to make the motion?
So, well, since we're close to all the numbers, why don't we discuss assessor and trustee?
yeah, we're getting to it.
We got to do one at a
So we
time.
have to do each motion individually.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to.
We don't have to.
I guess my only concern, if we're going to do it individually, let's make sure that we have a consensus, because if we decide that we,
Yeah, we decide.
well, one, and then we want to go back, and then we're going to be up
Yeah.
doing a motion, so
Yeah.
maybe let's get to a consensus
Let's write
first.
all the numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
all right, okay, so I think, do we have consensus on the supervisor one as being CBI?
36,000?
That's okay with me.
All right.
It's okay with me.
And the highway commissioner being CPI?
175. Highway commissioner CPI is,
Yeah.
yes.
Clerk being CPI?
Yes.
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 Trustee being CPI?
No.
We go by 7972, it will be,
It'll be rounded up to 8.
8 of
That's what the number Kelly came up with, the number I came up with. I think 69 of both was, that is what it is. It's close.
What number are you?
Do you propose?
8.
You know, 8 is pretty high up.
75.
Maybe you have to make it in
The average we had was 7.
eight.
Sometimes already.
How much is 69?
We're at 6 almost. That's all. I mean, it's my position that 6904 is too low, but that's where it is.
Yeah, what number?
Well, like I said, my average was 7972. That's what I came up with.
I'm good with that one.
So,
Yeah, me too, good, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, 7972. Trustee. And then the assessor,
32.
32. Everybody? All right. Those are the base salaries for 2025, like May 1st or May, beginning of May, and then 26, 27, 28. Are we talking about a cost of living increase?
Yeah, so 4%.
4%
4%.
compounded yearly.
Yep.
Okay.
But let's see, 4% yearly increase compounded
Yep.
annually, I think.
Okay.
Let you make this motion.
Now, there's a few miscellaneous things. Do you want to put that in the same motion or maybe
And
another?
then
So my recommendation, if we're gonna have like the health insurance and everything apply across the board, maybe we can do that individually then, because it's just gonna be for
Okay.
everybody, right? So if we're okay, maybe we do the salaries and then we can do the fringe benefits as a,
Is it extra?
as an extra, since that's not gonna be on an individual basis.
Is that 1,000, is that a fringe benefit? or
That I would say would include it in your actual comp for the supervisors, that doesn't
So,
apply to
but
anybody
it should
else.
be broken out separately, and it says it is every year.
yeah,
For $1,000 for serving as,
the treasurer for the highway department.
yeah, there's no increase in that.
No. Okay.
All right, does someone want to make a motion? Does someone, do you want me to make it, or what do you want to do?
I can make
Who's
it.
got it first?
Okay, motion to accept the salaries increases for the compensation for the next board beginning in May of 2025. The supervisor for 2025, $36,341.75 with a 4% increase compounded annually through May of 2028. Plus,
25, no, wait, 25,
Maybe 20.
29.
oh, 29, thank you. 29. Yes, through May of 2029. In addition to that, there is $1,000 ex officio treasurer of the road and bridge fund salary of $1,000 per year for the supervisor. For the highway commissioner, the salary for May, beginning May of 2025, $60,569.58 with a 4% cost of living increase compounded annually through May of 2029. For the town clerk, the salary will be effective May of 2025 is $25,899. Or is it?
Sorry, 439.
439, 2 cents, sorry.
22 cents.
$439.22. That was $25,439.22, effective May 2025, with a 4% CPI annual increase compounded through May of 2029. For the trustees, effective May 2025, the salary will be $7,972 with a 4% annual increase compounded through May of 2029. For the assessor, effective May of 2025, salary will be $32,000 with an 4% compounded interest CPI through May 2029. There you go, everything?
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Now that there's a motion on the table, is there any further discussion? Well, then I guess I need a roll call. Please.
Supervisor Ben?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Horvath?
Yes.
Trustee Maher?
Yes.
Trustee Malik?
Yes.
All right, great. So now we need to move on to the miscellaneous provisions that are usually in the resolution regarding health insurance, dental, so forth and so on. I think I've heard so far, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to keep everything, there's a consensus that everything will be the same except that percentage paid by elected officials for health insurance would be 25% of the premium instead of the 35% it has been in the past. Is that your understanding? Is that understanding?
Yes.
Are you going to say something different?
No, I just say, I think that's unacceptable to me. I'm not going to argue with that.
All right. I think, is that all that we need to address, or other provisions we would keep the same?
Yeah, so I'll just cover those real briefly so it's very clear what we're going to be voting on here. Each elected official is going to be entitled to participate in the accident and life insurance programs on the same basis as full-time employees. Each elected official will be able to participate in the dental program, contributions at the same time as full-time employees, same amount as full-time employees. Each elected official will be able to participate at their own expense in the same manner as employees in any optional employee benefit available to staff, including but not limited to deferred compensation, flexible spending, credit union membership, and/or optional life insurance, which is again what we've already covered.
I don't think you said healthcare, Kurt.
I'm sorry, I was just covering the other ones. Healthcare is the one that they'll be able to participate, paying 25% of the premium.
That's a separate one. Okay, thank you. Thanks for that clarification. It's dental and the other ones aren't.
Okay.
Still,
All right.
still we have an option to waive it.
I
We still have an option to waive it.
Yes, it's an elective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
25% paid by, if you want to participate.
So should I have a motion to keep all other forms of compensation the same as they've been in the past, with the exception of the amount that an elected official would pay for health insurance, and that amount would be reduced from 35% of the premium to 25% of the premium, with the township paying the balance.
Second.
Okay, all right. Anything else you want to say?
Supervisor Diamond?
Yes?
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Horvath?
Yes.
Trustee Maher?
Yes.
Trustee Malik?
Yes.
All right, fine. I think that that's all the business on our agenda for this evening. What I will do is see if I can have this resolution typed up, maybe tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, maybe Monday morning at the latest, and then email it to all of you so you can just sort of look at it. What? Oh, that's Wednesday. All right. Well, I will try to see if we can get it done tomorrow. And email it out to you so you can peruse it. And then the actual document, if I can, I'll bring it to Springfield. But if I can't, you'll need to come in and sign it at your convenience, but before the 20th. Even if they didn't sign it.
Who's the votes, what's matters?
The vote takes matter, but still, we just want to get it done. Speaking of Veterans Day, you notice that Des Plaines and Cook Ridge and Niles all have some type of ceremony at 11 a.m. Is anyone going to any of those, or has been done it before? Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
It'd be a conference, right?
I don't think we have to leave until later.
No. That'd be the
Post 36 is having at the Prairie Lakes at Des Plaines. I'm going to be attending that one.
Okay.
What time?
It's at 11 o'clock.
I just,
There is, the mayor going to be over there, I presume?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay, that's at 11 a.m. at Prairie Lakes. Is it outside, or is it?
It's in the auditorium.
In the auditorium. Okay. Yeah, please.
I just want to thank the board for working together so cooperatively, collectively and independently. We did our own research, and we see seem to come up with similar numbers, which I think is really good, really encouraging, you know. So it was a team effort, and I appreciate it, and it's always a balancing act, right? I mean, you get your wish list, and then you get what reality. So I think this was a fine mix of both. And it wasn't an ideal situation, you know, based on what we discussed earlier with the previous board. So I just want to thank the board for working so well together and coming up with some solutions.
Thank you. Just in terms of upcoming events, don't forget to let the Main Street know, come to the Valley Lunch, they always want to know
Yeah.
how many people are going to be there. Also, in the meantime, we have a turkey giveaway on the 16th. You're welcome to stop by. We do have many volunteers coming from Newton in general, but you know, if you can stop by, if you'd like to, you're welcome to do that. Sometime in the morning. Okay. All right. Let's see. You had your neighborhood watch last night. How did that go?
It went well. The new commander came by, along with Penny. A little light attendance. There was like a glitch with the emails sent out, but other than that, it was good.
All right. Any other news or anything? All right. Okay, thank you. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
All right, would someone like to second that?
Second.
Awesome, thank you, awesome. Roll call.
Supervisor Diamond? Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Barbat?
Yes.
Trustee Maher?
Yes, sir.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, board, hard work, well done.
Thank you to the clerk, the highway commissioner, and the assessor, and the supervisor.
Thank you.